Hey guys, welcome to another FrederickAmpsUp video. Due to some technical errors with the USB connections, I don't actually have a camera for this one, but I will be narrating the whole time. And so today we're going to be getting started with Java. So I just started learning Java maybe a couple months ago, so this should be interesting to see how it plays out. Java is an object-oriented compiled programming language. So to actually run your Java, you have to run the Java C file name command. Of course, replacing file name with the name of your file. And then to actually run it, you have to run Java and then file name, but without the extension .java. So my file you can see over here is named main.java. So I'd have to run javac main.java, and then to run it, I would have to run java main. So I'm going to be using Replit for this video. Replit is great because it lets you run all your code completely in the browser. It's all online based, so as long as you have decent internet, it should work pretty well for you. It's free, not sponsored. So let's get started. First of all, you're going to have to create a class. So you type in the class keyword and then the name of your file minus the file extension. So main. Then you can put a space or don't put a space. I like a space, it makes it look a little cleaner, and then a curly bracket, a new line. Then you're going to make public, that is not how you spell public, public static void main. And then the arguments in the parentheses for this main method that's run by the Java compiler is string, square bracket, closing square bracket, args, and that the name of that variable doesn't have to be args, but that would be the command line arguments for your code. So if I had already compiled it, I could run java main hello and then make it print hello. So why don't I show you how to do that right now? So first of all, for that, we're going to use the system class. So system.out.println. And ln adds a new line. There's also .print, which doesn't add a new line, which is great if you're making something that's trying to constantly change or something like that. And then we're going to say args. So that's the name of this variable here is args. That stands for arguments, of course. Then square bracket, 0, square bracket. And then at the end of every line, if it doesn't end with a curly bracket, you always need a semicolon or it won't compile the code. So there's different types of variables. The most basic are integer, whole number, so integer, and that holds whole numbers. There's also double, which holds decimals. There's strings, and there's two ways to initialize a string. So why is that? Okay. There's two ways to initialize a string. You can say string text, strings hold text, equals, and then your double quotes that you always use for programming. Or you can say equals new string. And the reason you can do that is because string isn't a variable type that is just built. It is built into Java. I forget what these are called, but strings, you need parentheses there. Strings are like a class. So you can create a new instance of a string, and then later you can go in and say text equals hello. So those are the basic variable types. There's also char, primitive variables. That's what they're called. So ints, doubles, chars, they're all called primitive variables. And I may be wrong. For Java programmers that are more experienced, yell at me in the comments if I'm wrong. But chars hold a single character. But like I said, I'm probably wrong about that. So those are some basic variable types. The type of this args is a little bit different. So it's a string array. That's what these square brackets are doing. They're calling it an array because I can actually pass multiple arguments through the command line. So I could say hello, hi, and 0. It always starts at 0. That's how indexing works. So right there, args 0 would be hello, and args 1 would be hi. So we'll stick with 0 for now. I will note if you don't add any command line arguments, this will give you an error. So we'll fix that in a minute. But now we'll run javac main.java. When you're running the compiler, you always need the full file name with the extension. Hit enter. This takes a second. And then we run java main and then test. So this test is not part of the Java command. The test is being passed into the args list, which you're accessing here. So whenever you have an array and you don't want to access the full array, you use square brackets immediately after the name, then the index of the array, and this can also be a variable, so we could say int index equals 0, and then put index here. But just for the purpose of this tutorial, we're not quite going to do that yet. So if we hit enter here, you can see it says test. If we run java main, I can't type, hello there, and we have to do it in a single word, otherwise it'll actually put it in two separate items. So if we did hello space there, it would just print out hello, but you can see it does that. Clear. Okay, so now that we've done that little demonstration of command line arguments, let's, do something with this. First, I should teach you about the scanner class. Whenever you're importing an external package, use import, then the name of what you're importing. So we're going to import java.util.scanner. This is case sensitive. Make sure that's a capital S or it's not going to work. So then, to actually use this scanner in the main method, most of your code, unless you're making a custom class, will always be in public static void main. It's just called main method. So to use this scanner, we're going to say scanner. Importing the scanner class creates a variable type called scanner, so that's similar to your string type. I'll say input. You can name this whatever you want. Equals new scanner, and then we have to say system.in. So whenever you see this new keyword, that means you're creating a new instance of the scanner class. So I'm not exactly sure what the scanner class looks like, but the class itself has the same variables for everything. When you create a new instance of the scanner, it's actually creating like clones of those variables that don't actually share values. So I could create another scanner called input2, and it wouldn't have the same values as input. So now we'll say system.out.println. Then we say to read a string, we use input.next line with parentheses because that is a method, not a variable. So next line reads the next available string after you hit enter. I could have autofilled there, but I didn't feel like it. Replit does that too. It's got autofill. So if I were to come over here and type in, then I can just hit tab and it'll autocomplete. Again, not sponsored. So I'll hit run. Yeah, you can also use run, which runs this massive thing of a command, but that doesn't allow you to do command line arguments. So you can see nothing happened. The little prompt didn't come back up, and that's because it's waiting for our input. So if we type hi, then it's going to read the line hi when we hit enter and print it again. So Another thing with strings in Java is we can say you said space, you can have a space at the end of a string, and then plus. So plus will add integers and doubles, if that's how you use it, but it can also add strings. And for those of you who do Scratch, this is like the join block in Scratch is this plus sign. So if you put that between two strings or even a string and say an integer, it'll add those two together. What? Okay. So sometimes the error detection and replit glitches, and that's why we're seeing that. So let's hit run really quick. And then it says you said hi. If I run that again, you can just hit the up arrow. Apparently it doesn't work with the run thing. So I'll hit run again. And if I were to type something else, for example, subscribe to FrederickAmpsUp, it's gonna repeat that. Just clear that terminal there, cleans things up. So, I'm going to create a GitHub repo that has this, and I'll put a download to the code in the description. Now, this is probably jumping in too far for people who are just, like, starting Java. Like, what is this stuff? I have no clue what I'm doing, but let's make our own custom class. So we'll use the class keyword again. You can see we use that up here. But instead of main, which is the name of the file, we're going to say class my first class. And of course I can't type. My first class. Curly brackets. What am I doing? I haven't even taught you the if and the while and for. Okay, we'll say if args. Here, this is a good one to kind of teach. Args dot length. This is probably not going to work, but we'll see. Yeah, if args dot length is greater than 0, and this will actually detect whether we have any arguments, then system dot capital S system dot out dot print args has no you passed arguments. And then just for the fun of it, we'll make it say the arguments that you passed. So to access the full length of a string or of any list, you can do it without the square brackets. There's also the else keyword, which comes after an if. And so that's saying if args.length is not greater than 0, it's going to run this here. So then we'll say system.out.print. Why am I not using println here? Hold on. Println no args. Period. Okay, let's run that. And so that should say no args because, again, you can't pass command line arguments through the run button. Yep, so now if we run javac main.java, and I can't type again, main.java, wait for that to compile, java main, and then we say this is an argument. So this is actually going to pass 4 arguments to our program. And it passes, oh, okay. Yeah, that's embarrassing. Hold on. Is that gonna break? Yes, it is. args. Well, this probably isn't going to work either. I guess it's worth a shot, right? Like I said, I started this like 2 months ago. I'm not the best at it. Oh, that actually worked. Okay, Java main. These are arguments. Nope, that still didn't work. Okay. Yeah. Give me a minute to debug this. Catch you later.
3 hours later.
So yeah, it turns out the only way I could find to actually do that is to use a for loop to list all the elements of the array. So I guess we're gonna do that now. So the way a for loop works, you do for parenthesis integer I or X or A or any variable name you want here equals 0. You actually use semicolons. This is the only time I'm aware of you use semicolons inside parentheses, which is kind of weird, but whatever. Then you say, well, I is less than args dot length I plus plus, and I plus plus just adds 1 to I. I'm actually going to change this from print ln to print. Add a colon and a space there, and then we're going to say system.out.print. My brain just stopped working. Args I. So this is going to give us the sorry, I just had a thought that needs to be length minus 1 because indexes start at 0. So so that's going to print out the value of, wow, my brain is not working, guys. It's going to print out whatever is at that index in args. There we go. Okay. And then I'm also going to add a space, otherwise it's going to print it all with no space in between, and that's just a mess. After this for loop, then we're going to say system.out.println. If you don't add a new line at the end of your script, it sort of just breaks Replit. So run the Java C. This is probably not going to work. We'll see, I guess. That did work. Okay. Guess I don't need minus 1. God, my voice is getting scratchy. There. So you see that works perfectly. Give you a second to look at it before I clear. Can't even clear. It's cool stuff. It's really cool stuff what you can do with this. But I think we're out of time for today's video, so I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments. Like and subscribe. I need subscribers. I have 11 at the time I made this video, so thanks for watching, guys. I'm out.